Good evening and welcome to This Is Your Show. We're going to be a little bit more formal today because we're doing a special tribute to wedding planning because it's almost that time. And with us is, as always, Peggy Pratt and our guest, mother of the bride or the groom or whatever, and Alwyn Burridge from Flowers by Alwyn in Brantford. Welcome, Alwyn. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And we have a lot to thank Alwyn for today. She brought all the gorgeous floral arrangements that you see behind us and that you'll see later on when Peggy sings. And you'll also thank Peggy for the, or not Peggy, but Alwyn, for the lovely centerpiece. And that it was a gift to me for my birthday. So I thank her publicly for that very thoughtful gesture.
Happy birthday, Mark.
But you had to get a year older to get it. You realize that.
But I took a year off.
Oh, I see.
So I'm no older than I started. See, you get dispensation from God. And we had a priest here a couple weeks ago, and I went right through the proper channels and everything. And I'm clear, man.
It was his birthday then, too.
It was, we on TV, you celebrate your birthday for a lot of weeks and you never get any older. I lay down a lot. Anyways, we're coming up into wedding season. What's the most popular month for weddings?
Actually, it used to be June, and now we're finding a lot more weddings in May, and September and October are very busy.
Why? Why do you think the change from June?
Perhaps people don't like to have the receptions in unair-conditioned halls. That could be part of it. Also, there's beautiful photographic opportunities to have your pictures taken in September and October as well.
I read an article that, and it was American, of course, that people had gone from June to July and August because of that opportunity. Plus, that June had become a fairly rainy month for a lot of people. They felt it was a more rainy month. So June is no longer the bridal month. If I ever got married, big if, that I would get married in the winter months because it's too hot. Like to wear a suit like this in July and August and September and even in May, it's warm.
Yes, it is.
And to be dressed up and then want to dance, I can see why men take off their jackets.
And also, it's difficult in the very hot summer months to have a lot of fresh flowers look their very best for the entire day. So we have some very, very nice silk flowers that will do that work for us.
That look real. That still look real. Now my boutonniere is real.
Yes, that's freesia.
And that's freesia. And that is something that would normally be used, I guess, in a man's boutonniere.
Oh, yes, and it has a nice
scent. And is yours
scent.
real?
Yes, I have a Cymbidium orchid, and there's little rhinestone accents in this. And Peggy is wearing Alstroemeria, which is a Peruvian lily, actually, and miniature carnations.
Now, is hers real?
Yes, hers is real, too.
See, from here, honestly, I would say that looks like it looks so perfect, it's fake. It looks too perfect. That's you know, a compliment for your work.
I was just going to say, take that.
I thought you were going to say it was an artificial corsage. Isn't that something?
Actually, I have a couple of models coming up who are going to show you something that's very nice in silk, and we have a comparable matching piece in fresh, and it's very difficult to tell the difference.
I was going to say, okay, Mark, you guess which one's real and
Okay,
which one's
first we have...
Everyone's in for a real treat, and we're going to ask for a little bit of nice background music from Jason, our sound man.
This is Rhiannon. Rhiannon Smith is our little flower girl for today, and she's carrying a little basket, and she has potpourri. She's going to walk down the aisle at the church. That's it, honey, and she's going to sprinkle the potpourri before the other attendants.
Sprinkle a little for us.
And Mark's coffee.
That's it. And we make our own potpourri at Flowers by Alwyn. It is all flower petals.
It smells pretty. I can smell it. So you use all the dried flowers.
Yes. Now, see, the mouth of the basket is covered with artificial flowers. And we have made her laurel out of artificial flowers as well. Because see, when it's really warm, close to your head, the fresh flowers deteriorate so quickly.
They look like the dried ones.
Yes, they do, don't they? Thank you, honey.
Thank you, bye. Isn't she cute?
Now we have Hillary, who's my daughter, and she's carrying a bouquet out of the same colors and the same types of flowers, but this bouquet is in fresh.
I love that.
Pretty.
Isn't that gorgeous? So this would be what a bridesmaid might wear?
Yes.
Obviously,
notice the black.
I love black and white wedding.
Is that getting popular?
Very popular. And Hillary has some fresh flowers just put on very short wires and just slotted into the braids of her French braid.
Oh, love
Very
those
comfortable.
colors.
Isn't that pretty?
Thank
like
you,
all the
Hillary.
bridesmaids could be different colors on some.
You know what's nice about that dress is if you're a bridesmaid, you can wear it again. Because a lot of women say, I have to
That's
pay
right.
for a dress that I never get to
look.
use again. Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
this is
beautiful.
my daughter
Gorgeous.
Melissa, and she is carrying
Beautiful girls.
a bouquet that is a traditional cascade with 3 Cattleya orchids in the center, white freesia, and flamingo roses. And you see the pearls dripping out of it? We've put a lot of pearls in her headpiece, and that headpiece, folks, is a 2 o'clock in the morning headpiece last night.
Oh my, isn't that gorgeous?
Isn't that gorgeous? Obviously, they've modeled before because of these,
Yes,
so-
they have.
Now, this one's all real, too?
Yes.
Oh, my. I love that big orchid.
That beautiful.
Just
Thank you.
roughly, if someone was going to have this at a wedding, how much would that piece cost?
Well, between you and me, Mark, it depends on the time of the year. If it's a holiday time like Mother's Day or Valentine's Day, it would tend to be a little bit more expensive because it's more expensive for me to acquire those things.
Oh, isn't that
Yes.
something? So there you
But
are.
something like that would range between 120 and 175, depending on the number of roses that we used and the quantity of the little pearl accents and so on. Because actually, that's one of the most expensive parts of that bouquet.
Is the little pearl?
Yes, yes.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you, Melissa.
What I know we were going to talk about this to some extent. Weddings can be a very expensive proposition.
Yes, they can, but we have done something at Flowersville, and we have put together a little handy hints booklet, and it gives you some ideas towards the back of the book of the price ranges for the various things that the bride is going to need.
Isn't that a
And
nice idea?
it makes planning a lot
Oh, yes.
simpler.
So in other words, you really do have to plan. The more time you have,
Yes.
that's better for you, of course, but
That's
it would be
right.
more costly for me. If I said to you, I want to get married next month, if I made this decision in my life, I'm going to have to do it. I couldn't give it 2 years, you know, it would just be too long to plan.
Right.
Would you be able to do something in 30 days?
We have in the past, but if it's a weekend that's already fully booked, I would have to say no, because we never overbook. You see, our obligation is to the brides that we have already booked,
Yes.
and it's hard to squeeze somebody else in and give everybody our second best, so we won't do that. But I could certainly give you some advice and some helpful hints and recommend somebody, but
What
no,
would be
we,
the length of time that you would need for
as soon as you got the groom and the date, come see me.
something? So there you go.
Now, this is my niece, Jessica, and Jessica is carrying a fan with silk alstroemeria in it. Now, if you look closely, those alstroemeria are the artificial version of the alstroemeria that's
Oh,
in
right.
Peggy's corsage. Aren't they a lovely quality?
Yeah, because they almost look they're the same thing, except
You would
that
really
if you
have to
touch
look.
them-
Yes. And she's wearing a laurel of pearls and millinery silks with a big polka dot poof at the back.
And that's artificial as well.
Yes, that's artificial.
I never
you.
thought of that. That was a really good point, that your head does get warm
Yes.
and a lot of heat comes from that, so the flowers would not last for a great period of time. Oh, here's our princess.
Yes, this is Rhiannon back again, and she has what we call our no-fault bouquet for the little people, because she can't hold it in correctly because it's on a wristband. Turn your hand over, honey. See?
So, and her hands are free to do other things.
That's right. She'll be able to lift up her skirt if she has to walk upstairs or throw potpourri
That's
or
perfect
whatever.
for the little ones, isn't
And
it?
she's wearing a beautiful little headpiece.
Can you turn
Turn
around
around and let
and-
Mark see, honey.
Oh, isn't that
Aw.
pretty? Let's see. Let
And
everybody at
that's-
home look. Oh, right there. Isn't that gorgeous? And
Okay.
it matches your bouquet, doesn't it? Are you nervous? No,
Oh.
don't need to be nervous. We're happy people here. We don't bite.
What are the popular colors that you're making now, or is it just a
my,
variety?
It's a
just
wonderful variety.
No. Oh, that's
Yes, yes.
But black and white was really popular there for a while. Everybody
Oh, it
wanted
still is.
black and white.
Look
oh,
at
speaking
this.
of black, it's back.
Okay, Hillary is carrying a handheld bouquet. It has very modern, clean lines, and look at how nice it silhouettes against the black background.
This is very dramatically different than what we see, the full, almost Victorian bouquets. This is the more modern. Are more people
Yes.
going towards modern?
It really depends on the style of the gowns. If the gowns have very sleek lines, clean shape, then that type of bouquet is best. Also, if that style, with it being a little lighter and airier, looks good on a larger bride or bridesmaid.
Would obviously, I'm going back to price again because we're in sort of tough economic
Sure.
times, but would this one be, this one would obviously be more inexpensive than
That's
some of the
right.
fuller ones because you're using larger flowers and more air.
Good point. You'd make a great father of the bride.
And silk,
I
would
saw
that be
that
more
movie.
money than real,
And
too?
we're not having swans.
That particular one would be more money in silk because
Yes.
those are handmade, hand-painted, pure silk from China. And if you look in the center, let Mark see the flowers close up. They even have the little stand-up freckles that a real rubrum lily
Oh,
has.
right, they do.
Aren't they beautiful?
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yeah, you're hard-pressed to tell the difference between the fresh and silk.
Especially when it's being walked down the aisle.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
gorgeous piece.
And there's another plus to that style of bouquet. At the reception, that goes into a nice vase and is an accent on your cake table or your guest book table.
Or at the head table.
Right.
So it kills
That's
two
really
birds
nice.
with one stone.
I like your head.
Church decorations.
Piece.
Is it a necessity? Like I know some churches now, or used to anyway, say that you had to leave the flowers at the altar.
Well, it depends how many weddings there are. If there's a lot of weddings, then you really only the last bride is required to leave the flowers. If she doesn't leave the flowers, she should leave something in its place. Some Boston ferns is a nice choice because then they are a living decoration that will last for weeks. and
Some
weeks after.
weddings I've been to, they've gone all out, like they have bows on all
Oh,
the ends,
yes.
but you really don't. That isn't necessary, is it? Like just something at the front that's a focal point, and because the people
Yes.
themselves really are the key point of the day, not
Exactly.
not all the accessories. What
That's
about
right.
candles in the church? Are we still into candles?
Oh yes, very much so, especially for late evening or early October weddings when it gets dark early in the evening. Yeah, the candles are wonderful.
Electric or real?
Well,
I know
these-
you and I have had some problems in the past with real ones, especially with ceiling fans.
Yes, so we have switched to votive candles, and the votives last for 10 hours, and there's no drip problem. Because
Do you know
they're
what
enclosed.
happens to the drippings on a candle if a fan gets them?
I don't
It's like
know
a
if I
storm
wanna
of hot
hear.
wax.
Oh yes, it really sputters and
A
flies.
sadomasochist's dream.
Now this bouquet that Melissa's carrying is a Victorian bouquet, and it is all artificial. And if you
Oh,
look
see, it looks so
closely,
real. Look at, they even got the little...
yeah,
Now,
they're
would this be a
wonderful
bouquet that
quality.
you could throw away? When I say that to your, when you turn around and the bride
Well, you
throws
could,
her.
but usually if we make a large silk bouquet like this, we make a smaller one for the bride to toss.
Oh, that's a
Now
good
there's
idea.
little sparkle details. You see the little diamonds and crystals in there? Most of the gowns now have pearls and sequins over them, and this just helps to tie everything together. Now Melissa's wearing a beautiful demure poof at the back of her head, especially if you turn all the way around, honey.
There, it's good.
Okay, and if you notice, they're the same roses as what's in her silk bouquet. That's just to show people that if they would like to have real or artificial flowers in the headpieces, we can certainly do that for you. Thank you, Melissa.
Going back to the church flowers and all
Mm-hmm.
that, is it necessary to buy them or can you rent pieces now?
Oh, well, you can rent all these big silk pieces that you see here and many, many more to choose from. And then we move them from the church to the hall.
So they can be used in a dual purpose?
That's right. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, myself or my staff come in and we collect everything. So even the bride's mother can enjoy the evening and not have to worry about
So you'll set up the
packing
church,
up.
take the stuff to the hall, decorate the hall.
We deliver to the bride's house, groom's house, grandmother's house, the church, the hall, go back to the hall, pick
Of course, it's
everything up.
far more inexpensive to rent these things because you really don't need these things
That's
after
right.
the day. A wedding is a one-day affair.
That's right, exactly. So if money is quite limited, that's the best way to go. But they have to check with their ministers or their priest, because some churches will not allow artificial flowers in the sanctuary.
my.
area.
Yeah, at the
Yes.
altar, that's where there
Yes,
seems
that's
to be
important.
a lot of churches. I know the High Anglican believe that anything at the altar should be real and die
And
at the altar.
if
So-
it's on the altar table itself, it must stay. It cannot be removed.
I didn't know that.
Now, Jessica is carrying a laurel in her hands, which
Wasn't
is
that
very
a neat idea?
similar to the ones that Princess Diana had her attendants carry.
Oh, there! Don't mention that wedding. You know what happened to them?
Yeah, but the thing is, the symbol is...
Diegate.
Yeah. Well, the symbol is unending love.
Well, you know what it did for them.
I know. But let's hope that was just a one-time thing.
Oh, well, they're human too.
The nice part about an artificial wreath like this is afterwards, Jessica has a beautiful decoration to hang
Isn't
on
that
her wall.
gorgeous?
To hang on the wall.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good idea
On your
too.
door.
Yeah.
My
Thank you,
mother
Jessica.
got married at 72 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a wedding, and there's my kids now with their silk flower baskets. And really, what do you do with those things after? So that's perfect
okay?
to hang it on the wall. That's a great idea.
Little Rhiannon has a parasol, and this would be perfect for a garden wedding.
Do you do many
Yeah.
garden weddings?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
With the tents, those are expensive. Do you know if you price tents and the flooring and all that, by the time you rent that, you could have had a hall for about half the price. I know it's pretty, but the
Yeah.
tents in that are so expensive. It's an awful lot of work, but they're pretty. I agree with that.
Now, if the adult attendants want to carry parasols, they must ask permission from the minister or the priest to find out whether the umbrellas can be opened in the church. If they can't, then we must decorate them other ways.
Closed like this one.
closed,
Would this
right.
one open or no?
No, no.
But you do them so that they open. So an outdoor wedding, you could have them so they
Yes.
opened. The other thing I want to mention is that the music at weddings is just, there are some lovely pieces that can be done, and one of my favorites is Praise My Soul, the King of Heaven as the entrance, hymn. And then there's always, depending of course how much money you want to spend, you can have singers and choirs and trumpets, and you would have a marching band if you're willing to pay. Some people I've been at weddings where people were piped in. And I've had a wedding where they had a flutist or a flautist, I guess
That's
they're
right.
called, and it's just been magnificent. And we have our resident song mistress, who I think we should ask if she'll give us a sampling of, since we're seeing what a wedding might look like, what might we hear at a wedding? Would you like that? Would
I'd
you like to
love
hear?
that. I'm sure
So
we
we're
all-
going to take Peggy over to stage 2. And she is going to do There Is Love, the wedding song.
He is now to be among you at the calling of your heart. Rest assured this troubadour, he's acting all his parts. The union of your spirit here has caused him to remain. For whenever two or more of you are gathered in his name, there's love. For a man shall leave his mother, and a woman leave her home. They shall travel on to where the two shall be as one. As it was in the beginning, is now, until the end. Woman draws her strength from man, then gives it back again, and there's love. Well then, what's the reason for becoming man and wife? Is it love that brings you here, or love that gives you life? For if loving is the answer, then who's the giving for? Do you believe in something that you've never seen before? And it's love. Ooh, love. He is now to be among you at the calling of your hearts. Rest assured, this troubadour, he's acting all his parts. The marriage of your spirit here has caused him to remain. For whenever two or more of you are gathered in his name, there's love, ooh, love, love, more love.
Thanks a lot, Peggy. That was beautiful. I love that song. That is we've come a long way since "Oh Promise Me." And we promised all when that would not be the piece that was sung today. Nothing against those people that like "Oh Promise Me." Hillary, I guess we've got Hillary coming back next. We're going to continue with our Parade of Flowers fashion show. Oh, is that gorgeous.
Now, those are real cow lilies, and we've added a little bit of sparkle dust to them. You see?
Oh, yeah.
And she has a silk hair piece to match, adding some of the pearls.
That is such a gorgeous. Are those an expensive lily?
They are an expensive lily, but look at how big they are, and there's only six of them in there. So even though they're fairly pricey, buying one at a time, when you have 6 and nothing else, just some fancy greens, it's really not that expensive.
Would they last all day?
Oh, yes.
Because I noticed there's no vials on the bottom.
Well, they have quite a bit of water stored in those stems, and we've also put that sparkle spray on them to help them to maintain the moisture inside. It's sort of like an antiperspirant for flowers.
They look like little cowboy hats, don't they, upside down?
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
you.
I guess we come a long ways. We've really gone into the glitz, and it's true what we were saying earlier. Celebrities certainly set the standards.
Yes,
Like
they do.
when Elizabeth Taylor got married in yellow, a lot of people, especially in the States, got married in yellow.
Yes.
They wanted to go to yellow weddings because of Elizabeth. I don't know what other colors she's had. Probably they were all popular
Well,
too.
she's been able to
She
use
got
them
married
all.
once and she liked it so well she did it 7 more times.
Jessica is carrying a bouquet that's in a gold brocade bouquet holder.
Oh,
Isn't
Isn't that
pretty?
beautiful? I noticed
And
that.
that's reminiscent of the old-fashioned Baroque silver and gold handles that they used to have to hold little muzzy-tuzzies.
What's a muzzy
A
tuzzy?
muzzy-tuzzy? Well, back in the days when they were having problems with the Black Plague, people used to carry dried flowers around with them so that they could have a nice scent close to the nose rather than the stench of all the disease.
Of course,
and
those were the people
awful
that were the
things.
well-to-do.
That's
The
right.
wealthy.
And they flaunted it. If you notice, we've carried part of that theme through in her laurel. We've even put some gold leaves in her
Oh, I love
laurel
it.
and gold ribbon in the back.
I learned something every show, Mark.
Isn't
Muzzy
that-
tuzzy.
Yeah, muzzy tuzzy. That's
See?
such a, it's like doodad.
And you know, I get mesmerized
Oh my
listening
God,
to your
thank
voice.
you.
It's just so relaxing.
It's calming.
Oh, well,
Can you
thank you.
imagine if a bride was all excited, Alwyn would just put them so at ease.
Oh, that's.
Father of bride is all excited, puts them in
Look at this.
Oh, gorgeous.
Now you'll notice in the bridal magazines that are popular now, they have hand-tied bouquets. And did you see the way we brought those bouquets in?
Yes, they were all set in vases, so they
That's
actually
right.
looked like arrangements like what we have on the coffee table.
And after the wedding, they go back into those vases and they are a beautiful decoration at the church.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's...
Is this Victorian? Is this a Victorian method as well?
Yes, it is.
That the bows go all the way around. I just think that's amazing. Like if you had enough attendants, you could do every table with their bouquet. Of course, most of them want to take it as a souvenir. Is there a way of drying these so if the bride or the bridesmaids want to keep them, they can?
Yes, they can be preserved in silica gel.
So they would bring them back to you, or you would take them after the wedding and do that?
And Melissa's got a very demure hat that lends a little bit of air of mystique with the veil over her face and little floral details. It's also very Victorian.
I love
Big
hats.
poofy veil to back.
Do you know what you
yes.
know the veils were? At one time you weren't to see your bride and you didn't know who you were marrying until you got to the church. And that was the thing. Their faces
showing
were
your
kept
age.
covered. No, I'm telling you, I read history books. I'm not showing my age. Hi, honey.
Now, Rhiannon has a headband
Look over there, honey.
on that's very comfortable, and most young ladies these days are used to wearing headbands, so it wouldn't feel foreign to them. And she's carrying a little nosegay that would be about the size that the bride would use as a throwaway bouquet.
Oh, there we are.
That's real as well today?
Yes, that's real. Those little spiky flowers in yellow are called genistra, and they have a wonderful scent.
All these flowers smell so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhiannon.
Have you asked what are the popular flowers?
I asked her the colors, yes, the popular colors.
But the
I was-
flowers.
And what do you normally use? Something that would keep probably for the day.
Yes, it's important to use something that's going to last
Tulip.
well. And those tulips are wide open because of the heat in here, but look at how nice they are with the deep painted centers.
So it doesn't look like they were forced. It's just
Oh
gorgeous.
no, that's the way nature intended them. And look at the vibrant color against the black.
The black is such a striking
yes.
color.
I
So
love
many
deep
brides
pieces.
are nervous about using bold colors in the wedding. And the bold colors really are outstanding, especially for a fall wedding.
What are the flowers that most men wear as boutonnieres?
Roses.
Roses?
Stephanotis.
And they
freesia.
always match. What do? You match the cummerbund and the tie with the dress?
No, you match the bride. Okay. Too many times the groom is done up with the same color cummerbund and bow tie as the ushers, and he just looks like one of the guys.
Sure. Yeah, you don't know who's getting
That's
married.
right.
Hey, which one of
No.
you is him?
No, he's special. He should match the bride.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Now, that's a fresh basket. Can you picture that in a garden wedding?
Oh, and as the centerpieces.
Yes,
Oh my,
exactly.
that's heavy.
Yes, because it's got a good water source inside.
I love the irises. See the
Yeah.
irises?
I love the pink ones coming out. Where are those the same as the
Genistra.
yellow
Oh,
ones?
it matches her
before?
dress perfectly.
Yeah. Actually, I'm glad you said match, because it's not a perfect match, but it complements the dress. That's right.
If you had everything the same color, you wouldn't be able to tell where the dress ended and the flowers started.
Exactly. She has little butterflies in her hair
I
too,
noticed that. That's
which
so
should be
cute. Can you
perfect
turn
for
around,
a garden wedding.
Too bad you couldn't catch real ones and put them in. If I ever got married, I would love doves to be let loose. I think that would be so wild. Thank you. Bye-bye. Doves or butterflies. But my luck, they'd probably all get the diarrhea the day of the wedding, and when they let loose, you would need confetti.
Why does he always have to think of these things?
Because I'd be the one that it would happen to, I know.
He's low.
Now, Melissa's carrying another hand-tied bouquet, and there's 21 yellow roses and baby's breath and asparagus.
Isn't that grand?
And her
The yellows
head-
next to the black would be wonderful.
It is. And her headpiece has got lots of glitter and sparkle, and the veiling has got a sheen to it. You see the little bit
Yeah,
of
a little bit of glitter.
it's crystal
beautiful.
veil.
It's just giving the dress a new look each
Yes.
time.
That's
isn't it, with
beautiful.
those
Yes.
headpieces?
We do a lot of headpieces, especially for girls who have dresses in ivory or candlelight or pink.
Thank you.
The manufacturers have missed the market. They just don't make a lot of headpieces in those unusual colors. But we do.
So,
You're so
Alwyn, you're a wonderful person, and if I get married, you will be the one that'll do it.
me
And
too,
if
Alwyn.
Peggy gets married, I'll find her a
Yes.
man, don't worry. Anybody interested in Peggy,
I have
we're
one.
available at 23 Harris Avenue in Brantford, Ontario, postal code N3R7W5. There will be a sale next week if anyone's interested. Please drop us a line if you have any comments or show suggestions. We've
Kidding,
had
Irvin.
We've had Alwyn Burridge from Flowers by Alwyn here in Brantford with us. Thank you, Alwyn.
My pleasure.
We'll have you back and we'll do another theme.
Thank
we'll do another
you.
topic.
Thank you,
so
Peggy.
your wedding doesn't need to be expensive. Thanks, Peggy. We'll see you again. We'll see you again. I'm Mark Stenabaugh. This is your show, leaving you with my thought for the week. Mae West once said, "Marriage is an institution, but I'm not ready for an institution yet." Yeah. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Rest assured, this troubadour, he's acting all his parts. The marriage of your spirit here has caused him to remain, for whenever two or more of you are gathered in his name, there's love